Hello and welcome to Mediumship Matters with me, Hannah McIntyre. How are you doing? You're probably doing a little surprised because I clearly said September, but in this very shifting, very changing, constant roller coaster that I find myself on, I have decided to break my own restrictions. Isn't that half the journey? Breaking your own restrictions, allowing yourself to do what it feels right to do and not what you've told yourself you should do. I was having a great conversation with Amanda. I've just got back from my retreat, and while we were there, we were talking, and she just said to me, "Your energy changes so quickly. Your focus shifts so fast. The energy you're in moves." She said, "You shouldn't be stockpiling episodes. They should go out in the moment when the energy is aligned with you." And so I put some rules in with my podcast and now I'm getting rid of them. So we are going to just go with it. I am not going to have release days. I am just going to release when an episode is ready and it feels right to me. And that's the way it's going to be for a while. We'll try it. If you don't like this, you can forward a strongly worded email of complaint to Amanda at Amanda joking. Ah ha ha. But it is, maybe it's freer. And am I insane here? But do you guys find that most of the unfoldment journey, when you're having to release and let go of stuff, there's the old stuff before you went on the path. But once you've been on the path a while, it's mainly just undoing ideas that you had, concepts that you've put in. Yeah, I find it really funny, which leads me to what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. When you listen to the next episode, which is clearly talking about September, but I actually recorded last month in June, I've made this way too complicated. I can completely admit that. You will hear me talking about getting rid of my school and my platform. And it has just felt, I think it, I think it's ebbs and flows. I'm trying to feel into it. But do you guys understand what I mean when I talk about you have a period of time where there's a lot of growth, where there's a lot of ideas of things that you want to do, space you want to move into. And then you have a period of time when you realize it's not in alignment with you and you have to undo it. And all you are really doing is undoing the rules you put in place, the amendments you made, the commitments you signed up for that no longer resonate with you. And I find that kind of fascinating. Now, if you've looked at the episode title for this one, you'll see it's a little inflammatory, bore of attraction, which I have to be honest and say I'm quite proud of as a title. I know it's a bit triggering, but it really made me laugh. So, yeah, where do we start with this? I think that law of attraction, the way that it is traditionally taught, was absolutely relevant and very, very important 15, 20 years ago. And I think the problem that we're facing now is it's become like a doctrine. It's become something that is immovable. I know that I've heard my beloved Abraham Hicks say things like, the lessons haven't changed in all the time I've been teaching it. And I think that that is great for her and the way that she works with spirit and has been incredibly useful for me. But I also think I've outgrown it. And this is fascinating because when you have set yourself um, things that you want from the universe, whether that is money or a house or anything else, and you don't get what you've asked for, what does that mean? And so this is I think, part of the problem with it, because it's almost like there's all these people out there telling you that you can achieve X, Y, Z. But actually, when you try and achieve it, if it doesn't happen and you say to them, it doesn't happen, they'll tell you it's your fault. But what if it's not your fault? What if it just is? I was talking to somebody, a friend of mine, who's a law of attraction, I don't know, cult member. I don't know what you'd call it. A law of attraction, absolute, all the way through, has learnt all the principles, learnt all the rules, and follows those rules to the letter. Now, they have had some incredible manifestations, undeniably, but not everything they've asked for has come into fruition. And I was saying to them about a venue that I work at that used to just sell out, sell out, sell out. And now it's not selling out. And actually, getting bums on seats is getting harder and harder and harder. And I was saying, generally, with my demonstrations at this time, it's getting harder and harder and harder to. Well, it's a rare thing when I actually sell out of tickets now. And we were discussing that, and how much of that is social media holding back posts, how much is something going on with people. I understand we're in a time of austerity, but then you walk down the high street and it's absolutely rammed. So people are spending, they're being choosier about what they spend their money on. How much of this is to do with the fact that there are just a lot of mediums now? There's a lot of us, which is fantastic. I do believe there is space for all. But let's be honest, it's exactly the same as mechanics for a car garage. If you have got one garage that's running in a village, it's going to get all of the business. If you then have two garages, that business is going to be split. It's as simple as that. There are more and more psychic nights happening, so there are more and more people choosing other options. And that's how it should be, because we should all be being held accountable to a standard. But I was just discussing all of the components. There were other people there, it wasn't just the two of us. There were all the different components, and I was interested in other people's take on what they think is happening, why they think certain venues are selling, certain venues aren't, why it's just generally getting harder. And then the law of attraction person said to me, well, where are your blocks then? What are your blocks about selling at this venue? And I found it really freaking offensive, if I'm honest. I found it really irritating, because I know that Facebook, all the social medias now are holding back our posts even more than they ever have done. I know it's getting harder to be seen and in front of people who have chosen to see me. I know that when I'm sending out email mailers to my mailing list, it's only 2% that are opening them, because everybody is inundated with mailers, inundated with messages into their inbox. We're all overstimulated to a point of overwhelm. And so to imply that there is something wrong with me, I found a little limited and a little bit rude, to be honest. Because I've been working with the affirmation, the universe is always working in my favour. And I've been working with that affirmation for 3 months now. And that affirmation is changing my entire experience. If you've ever worked with affirmations, you will know this, but you start off with them and you feel like you are just saying it. It doesn't really make any sense. You might notice some resistance in yourself to it, but you keep saying it and the energy shifts. So I'm 3 months in with using that affirmation all day, every day, and it's still unfolding for me, and I'm still understanding what that actually means, and I'm still shifting with it and growing with it, and the integration of that lesson is still happening. So if the universe is always working in my favour, which I absolutely believe that it is, then is it that I've got a block about that venue? Or is it that there's something else that I need to know there's a better way? And when you're working immersively in the energy of the universe is always working in my favour, so I'm trying to work out, which I know Abraham Hicks would say you don't need to work out, you just need to let it happen. But I like working things out. That's how my brain works. When you're trying to work out what it is, what has shifted for you, why things aren't working the way that you want them to, what the lesson is, what the good thing that the universe is steering you towards might be, it's really bloody offensive when somebody implies that it's because your energy isn't aligned. But the universe is always working in my favour. So they said that to me, and I went, oh, a bit like I've struck on something a bit sour. And then I went away and I had to sit with what they'd said to me. And I had to really think about why I was so offended by that, and why that they would say it to me. And as always, I'd called in spirit. So we were discussing it, the story of it, you know, is it that I've got a block? Am I sucking on something sour because that's triggering? Or am I sucking on something sour because I needed this lesson because it's good for you guys to hear? It's good for me to work through. Have I been failing at my affirmation that the universe always works in my favour? As you can probably hear from my voice, I've been ill again. I've lost 3 weeks. Is this something that I've done? Am I being, in inverted commas, punished for being out of alignment? All of these questions riled up from this little comment, this little thought. And then because I've been learning about my human design from Amanda, who's studying it and working through it, I have also learned that I don't manifest in a normal way. So in human design, there are different ways that different energy types with different gates manifest. So when you have a human design reading, if your human design practitioner works this way, they will tell you how you manifest. So all of a sudden, manifesting is becoming accepted, that it isn't one size fits all. And it isn't just this is the only way. There are other ways. And I have no doubt achieved amazing things with this podcast, with my book, with the students I work with, incredible things that I would never have thought possible. But it hasn't been quite the way that I felt manifesting would work. For example, when I set the intention that I wanted to be not just an average teacher, but a really good teacher, that didn't just mean that the information and the knowledge flowed to me. It meant I had difficult students. It meant I had difficult teachers who taught me what not to do. It meant that I had to think on my feet, so much integration, so much learning. And none of those things felt good at the time, taking us back to spiritual slaps, as we've discussed before. But there's kind of this idea, isn't there, when something goes wrong, that we've created that. And when I was talking to Spirit about this, they said to me, there's no such thing as alignment. And it kind of blew my mind. There's no such thing as alignment in the sense that you are not working to a particular energy. You are just always calling to yourself the lessons you need, the information you seek, the experience that you need to grow. So you could look at this in two ways. There's no such thing as alignment, or you cannot help but be aligned. you cannot help but always be calling to you exactly what you need. The universe is always working in your favour. So when things go wrong, it is purely that your soul, your energy has called that to you because there is something better coming around the corner that you're not aware of, or because it's going to teach you to make you whatever it is that you've chosen you want to be. And I know, because then I sat there and I was like, well, yeah, I kind of get that. But also, what about when I felt like I was in alignment and it felt really good, I felt really, really good. And they said to me, that's just differing flows of energy. So, we've talked before on this podcast about knowing whether you're in spring, summer, autumn, or winter energy. Well, it just so happens with me and the way that my energy works. I really like spring energy. I like growth. I like seeing shoots spring up from the ground. I like feeling like there is expansion and opening. And so, therefore, I feel really good when I'm in spring, but nobody can be in spring all the time. And being in spring is aligned with my energy because you can never be anything but. But when I'm in autumn, as I am at the moment, and you have to let lots of stuff go and you have to release some of that growth that you thought was going to be so precious and so great to you, that doesn't mean you're not in alignment. And it doesn't mean you weren't in alignment when it happened. You've just shifted. And so rather than thinking about whether you're in alignment or out of alignment, I want you to try to view your energy and your experience as rungs on a ladder. You are going up the ladder and you can never go back down the ladder. You can only continue to rise. And as you continue to rise, the things you want will change. The things you thought you were going to have or you thought you were heading in the direction of will suddenly no longer be aligned with you. And that doesn't mean that you were wrong. It just means that as you've changed and shifted, you thought it was going to be one way, but you now realize it's another. And see, look where I just used the word aligned. God damn it. I'm talking about how it doesn't exist and I'm using it in a sentence because it's such a part of our experience now, isn't it? It's such a part of spirituality. And it can be sometimes very, very quick. It can be one season change. So you go from spring and suddenly you find yourself immediately in autumn with 2 weeks difference. And in that period of time, what you thought you were growing to in spring, all of a sudden you're having to let go of. And that doesn't mean you've got it wrong, because it just means that whatever you needed to learn in that period of time from that growth has served its purpose. It's done. And then you will find other things that excite you and you will utilize the knowledge and experience that you gained from that project, which now no longer resonates or isn't working. And I think I hope I'm making sense. We're back already to me fighting myself as I'm doing these podcasts and worrying that I'm just blathering and you're all just going, oh, geez, Christ, I was hoping this was going to be a much more interesting back to mediumship matters than it is. But if the universe is always working in your favour, which I believe it is, then can you get it wrong? Or can you only call to yourself the lessons that you are calling to yourself? And is this what we mean when we're saying that the path is predestined, in the sense that you cannot choose wrong? You cannot make a mistake. It might take you in unexpected twists and turns, but those unexpected twists and turns, you call to yourself for the experiences that you needed to have. And so I'm not saying burn law of attraction to the ground, because I think there's really valuable lessons in there. And I know that hearing Abraham say, have a nap, was so transformational for me, because I'd so bought into hustle culture and into that. So absolutely, but don't cling to it as an immovable piece of, set of rules that you are failing or getting right, because I think there's so much more to it than that. Just like, meditation is great if you like it, but if you don't, you're just forcing yourself to do something you don't enjoy for 15, 20 minutes every day because you've told yourself you have to. Take a walk, look at a sunset, have a bath. Don't feel like it. I agree with the importance of unwinding and being present with yourself and paying attention to how you feel and all of those things. But I don't think meditation is the only way to do that. I don't think it's the only route. So when you are looking into your energy and where you're at, stop judging things as wrong. It doesn't matter whether you went back to your shitty ex and he let you down just like he did before, or whether you said you were going to be better at spending and then you had a big blowout for the dopamine hit and you've wasted all your money, or whether you managed to meditate for 8 days on the trot and now all of a sudden you've forgotten about it and 2 weeks have passed. There is no, this is not an awards show. This is not, yeah, you're not going to get rewarded with riches and an easy life just by not doing any of the work required, not just by, I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. I just find it really fascinating, and I find it really, really fascinating how people think it's okay to essentially make a judgment on your energy and tell you that you've got a block just because something isn't working the way you thought it would. Because every single time that something has gone wrong in my business, like before I worked with Spirit, every single time something blew up in my face, it's a valuable lesson that I use now. It, I cannot move away from the inescapable truth that is, in my worst times, I learnt my biggest lessons that changed the frequency of who I am and my understanding forever. So, did I call those experiences to me because I was out of alignment or because I had a blockage? Or did I call those experiences to me because my soul knew that they would be really, really tough, but in 10 years' time, I would still be using those lessons on a daily basis and I would still be teaching my students about those lessons? And where's the line in that? I just think it's a bit rude, to be honest. If we're going to be completely, it's almost, a friend of mine once went to a Reiki share where somebody there went, "Oh, do you eat meat? Because your energy is very, oh." Um, and I just feel like saying to someone, "Well, where's your block then?" Um, is a kind of that same, it's that egotistical knee-jerk reaction to something without sitting with it and thinking about it. What if every block we've ever had is just us wanting the experience of overcoming something, working through something? I think we all still have this idea that we're heading towards perfection. And I don't think that's why we're here. I don't think we're here for perfection. I may have told you guys this story. It's such a stupid story, but my husband and I went out the other day, and we went to a nice cafe bar that we like near us. And when we were in there, it was 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. It wasn't a special occasion. We just felt like going out. And he said, "What are you having?" And I said, "I'm going to have a glass of wine and a cappuccino." And he went, "Oh, I'm going to have 2 drinks too." And then we sat there, and I said to him, "This is amazing. This is so amazing that we can afford, without a second's thought, to just have what we want in a cafe without second guessing it or thinking of how that's going to impact everything." Because after years and years of sort of trying to balance the scales all the time, if I have that, then I can't have this. If I do this, what's the impact going to be? To be in a space where we could have both the things we wanted, it was an amazing moment for us. But it was an amazing moment because we haven't always had what we wanted, because we have had to balance, because we have struggled. That's what made it amazing. And I cannot shake the feeling that that's kind of what it's all about. It's that this place is imperfect. It's that Earth is the yin and the yang. And that's what we sign up for. That is what we want. We come here because we want to experience duality. We want to experience not enoughness and abundance. We want to experience difficult friendships and difficult relationships so that we can enjoy the ones that turn out to be magnificent. We want to experience people that are annoying so that we can learn the power of holding on to our inner peace when we're triggered by muggles. We want that. And so this kind of story that we're all heading into a new age where everything's going to be hunky-dory, I actually think is hooey. I really do. Because if you look at the history of mankind, we're just repeating it in a cycle. We're not learning, things aren't shifting, people aren't getting kinder or nicer. There are still the people that try and hold the light and the people that don't give a fig about it. And that is okay, because it's not our job to fix ourselves, and it's not our job to fix everybody else. Our job is just to find the light where we can. And sometimes the light will be found in the lovely periods of growth and expansion and opportunity and results. And sometimes the light can be found in letting all of that stuff go and realizing how heavy it was to carry it when you weren't even paying attention to that. Realizing that your back was broken by the weight of everything you were carrying that 2 months ago you asked for. And that doesn't mean there's a block or you've got anything wrong. It's the way it's supposed to be. The way it's supposed to be is we pick stuff up, we let stuff go. We pick stuff up, we let it go. We recycle through our healing journey, repeatedly revisiting those bits that we want to turn away from. And that's how it's supposed to be. There is no stage of healing you're going to reach where it's all done and dusted and you can go, done, ding. There will always be something. How much attention you give to it, I do agree with Abraham Hicks there. That is entirely up to you. If you let the small things pull you out of your joy, that is a choice. There are obviously big things that will suck you in. That's the journey. But I don't think it's as simple as you're aligned, you're out of alignment. It's just you're enjoying the energy you're in, or you're finding it challenging. I've been finding the energy I'm in challenging. I don't like it. I don't want to be sat in this energy, but I am nonetheless. And the weird thing is, I got into this energy by doing what everybody kept telling me to do, working less. Um, so many people have told me I won't get ill if I work less. And I remember saying to Sue, we went out for lunch and just saying, I'm only working like 3 hours a day. Surely I can't work any less than that. But everyone kept telling me, everyone kept saying, work less, you do too much. But I think I just have really big energy. And so when I do stuff, it has more energy behind it. But I'm really not working ridiculous hours. I'm really not. And so I cut back even more. And I think I was averaging 2 hours a day, weekdays only with my work. So 10 hours a week. And it was triggering me. I was like, oh, I want to be working, but everyone's told me I shouldn't be. So I've got to do it. This is law of attraction. This is what I've got to do. I've tried doing it this way and I've got to surrender to it. And you know what happened, guys? After 5 weeks of doing that, I got really, really ill and I lost 3 weeks. And as I was lying there, coughing, feeling rough on the sofa, wanting to cry, I sent out that thought to Spirit of, I thought that I was doing what you wanted. I thought I was resting and not working too hard because that's what you wanted. And they said, when did we tell you that? When did we tell you that? And they hadn't. I'd been told that by lots and lots of other people who meant well. Don't get me wrong, they meant well. But are you meaning well? Are you doing the right thing if you are just recycling a doctrine? If you are just saying, this is the rule, this is the rule. I know that humans love rules. I know that we do. But if we are just, it's no different to being a bloody Catholic, you know? Oh, well, God is punishing you because you haven't done this. Is that not what we are essentially saying? You're out of alignment is a punishment. It's it's viewing the things that are going wrong as the universe not giving you what you want because you haven't got it right. Like the universe is there with some giant scoreboard going failed, failed, hasn't meditated, failed. Oh, I'm only going to give you a D minus experience because you're only putting D minus effort into to the rules that I have set. But rules are a human thing. The only rule is be who you be. And so actually, I think in trying to restrict my work, I made myself ill. And yeah, there's a balance in there because I know that I have a tendency to overwork and make myself ill. But I have to allow myself to be in the flow of one day wanting to work 8 hours and the next day having a day off. And both are valid and both are okay, rather than trying to restrict, whether I'm restricting myself by working too much or restricting myself by not working even when I want to because everyone's told me I'm failing. You cannot be out of alignment. If you listen to what you want to do and how you feel, you cannot be out of alignment, which means if you're like me and you really, really, for example, good example is the retreat. Just done the retreat, worked my ass off. Like really intense, really, really, really hard work with the most incredible group of women. It was phenomenal. And I'd set my sort of idea of what I thought the retreat was going to be. And then Spirit came in and sort of sideswiped what I thought it was going to be and made it something completely different. And it was magic. And I have no doubt that I am a different person now than the person that went on that retreat. And all of my attendees are different people now than the people that went on that retreat. Phenomenal. It was just the teaching from Spirit was incredible. But I made a loss. I think I've included all of my costs. I worked my arse off for a week and made a £1,500 loss. Actually, if we're being honest, it's 144489, which did make me laugh because it was an angel number, which just felt like an additional cherry on the top from Spirit of absolute hilarity. Now, does that mean I failed or not? Because Yeah, of course, it would have been nice to have been paid for my time. My husband obviously had to take a week off work to do the school run and look after the dogs and everything. It would have been nice, but it's not just about the bottom line, is it? It's not just about the money. I know that I did a really good job. I know that I was a really good representative for spirit. I know that I taught tough lessons that I wanted to turn away from, that were really, really fundamental in people's experience. And I also know that in 5 years' time, the integration of those lessons will still be happening and the money will have been replaced. And so it's easy to go, oh, you've got a money block. Um, but everything was aligned with it and the right people were there. And it was just exactly how it was supposed to be. And so working through all of that kind of processing. Is that a block? Is that alignment? Is it out of alignment? How can I be so aligned with the teaching that spirit are using me just shy of a meat suit glove puppet to deliver stuff? And then, and is it just me equating financial reward with doing a good job for the spirit world? And so is that in alignment? And so it continues. So all I want you guys to do is just sit with law of attraction. If you're one of those people that kind of doles out law of attraction judgment on people, maybe it's time to think about whether you are being a bit of a bore. Sorry, but true. Whether you're really integrating it, and also about how it's manifesting in your life. Because no doubt you can manifest stuff. It's really, really cool. But have you really got everything you need, everything you wanted? Have you? Because if law of attraction is that easy, what's your block? Oh, that was spicy, wasn't it? Um, and sitting with that before we just cycle through the same stuff, the same teaching, the same messages, the same judgments, the same opinions. And what if the greatest and most aligned thing you can ever do, ever, is just be who you want to be in the moment and understand that some of that will stick and some of that will go. Some of your dreams will fade away. And that's how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to get it right. We're supposed to learn and grow. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts. As always, you can email podcast@hannahmedium.co.uk. And thanks for listening. I hope you're glad that we're back. And let me know, of course, any questions, any topics you want covered, let me know, and I will catch up with you all again soon.